I would say. I think it's more commonly known as tech neck, though, to maybe chiropractors and
We'll use
physical
that.
therapists and whatever. But recently, I had been going to physical therapy again. Now, I've done it before, but in this time, I'm just kind of like since lifting and stretching and doing all kinds of things, I just don't feel 100%. So I decided to go check it out. The past couple of days, I have noticed that a lot of bumps that I had, like especially on my, I don't know, spinal cord, we could say, or let's just say back, due to it not being as flat as it should be, right? Now that I'm using all my stabilizing muscles, my neck is actually 100% straight. And I was telling you this earlier, but it feels off. It feels like I'm an inch taller. It feels like my head's floating above.
Which realistically is I think the right feeling to have, because if you're always like positioned like this, and then you get adjusted or you go through some PT work, then you go like this, then it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah, one week is all it takes, and you're already feeling great. The way I feel is super loose. I get tired less quickly.
What about stability? Do you feel more stable?
Way more stable. I feel like I'm way more imbalanced. In balance. Sorry, I don't know why the hell. I was thinking of the word imbalanced, but whatever. Point is, throughout the day, I get less tired. And that's due to, I think, just having more center of gravity. You're not really leaning anywhere else. You're not using one muscle more than the other. You're kind of just centered.
This is interesting. Okay, I think it's two things. It's being at the appropriate posture, which also impacts your mood. But also I think it's because, and this might be wrong, but you're getting more oxygen delivery to the brain. I wonder if you're in a position of like looking down, you can't breathe as well. But if you do that, you can breathe much better.
Yeah. I've also quit vaping and stuff. So
true.
Obviously, here's the funny thing about it. We're going to cover this in a separate episode, but
it's going to be fire.
Dude, the breathing, 100%. Beautifully back to normal almost. It's like you didn't know you were missing out on breath, right? Second thing is, you don't know how much breath you hold in your back. You forget that you have that whole section of your chamber that expands outwards, right? So over the days, you actually start cracking in those areas.
Yeah.
You're like feeling some form of expansion there. So it's kind of like settling in, you know?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, when you take a proper deep breath in, you should feel it from the diaphragm. You should feel it in the back as well.
It feels like a stretch.
It feels like a balloon inflating.
Yeah, you should feel your sides kind of tighten up, you know, all that good stuff. And I was missing out on that. Why? Due to just inhalation of things other than air.
Yeah, I can't wait for that episode, and we're going to talk so much crap.
It's going to be awesome. I have a lot of personal experiences with that. Spoken word from people and just a bunch of evidence to just back up a million things with it.
What else have you noticed with this posture alignment?
Definitely easier to lift things with your legs. You know how you hear things like lift with your legs, don't lift with your back, and you're like, well, that's kind of hard. No, it's not. It's not if you're centered.
Yeah, just comes down to squatting instead of hinging.
Yeah,
that's all it is. People pick shit up like they're about to do a deadlift.
Yeah.
Like, no, squat down and pick it up.
I did notice this. My walking was weird for like 2 days.
How?
Like I said, I was using muscles that were not engaging on the normal. So when I got an alignment, it's like you're using full hips. You can feel the flexion of your like lower back muscle and all the good stuff. So it's back. I didn't know how like tensed or how much sitting actually affects your joints the most.
Yeah.
Flexors. Like, I had a hard time just believing that I was one of those, you know?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's like whatever you do the most in regards to movement, you're solidifying a pattern.
Yeah.
And that pattern can either work for your movement and your physiology and your mood, everything else, or it can work against you. So sitting in a chair all day, I mean, look at this position. Your hips are tight. You're not engaged with your breathing properly or your abdominal region. A whole host of things are just like put into concrete. It doesn't even make sense, but
And
you get what I'm saying.
Here's the thing, okay? I think people think that any amount of work towards your body would make you, you know, an athlete. And it's like, well, I'm not a sports guy. I've never done sports. I'm not an athlete. I'm not an active person. And the things that you got to maintain doesn't make you an active person. An active person actually makes you, like, you need to spend hours and hours and hours of that for you to be an athlete or whatever it is you consider yourself. So I can argue the other way, which is basically you need to be doing this. This is the minimum, if anything.
Yeah. Everyone has a body.
Yeah.
Why not take care of it?
So when you're sick and you take medicine, next time don't take medicine because that's what you believe in, apparently. You know, there's no minimum requirement for anything. You know?
Ooh.
And I'm not talking about...
Keep going. I have something interesting to mention on that.
No, there could be holistic medicine. It could be. I'm just saying medicine in general.
Yeah.
Okay. So take that how you will. But it's just like next time you're sick, don't do anything. Don't do anything at all. That's not going to help you, is it?
But I was going to say it's probably the best route to not do anything. Unless you hit a fever high that's like seriously your body's in danger. Mm-hmm. Think about what a fever is. It's your body's response to stop the replication of a virus.
Yeah, but in my experience, I think movement and sweating in general will speed up the process. So therefore, that is doing something. I'm saying completely sitting still is not going to help you, right? So if your argument is if I generate posture and I stretch every day, then that makes me an athlete or that makes me a sporty person.
God, no.
No. That's just a minimum requirement to have your joints functioning.
It's a minimum requirement to be alive.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though.
I don't like where the world's headed, man, at all.
No, bro. When I start to see mannequins that are obese and everyone's an athlete, that's when you get on my nerves. But I did want to like dive more into the PT experience. What specifically did they have you do? Because you're not going to a chiropractor. They're not just adjusting you and sending on your way.
The first like couple of days, they're kind of useless. They're pointless. They're just getting to know you. And if you had an accident or whatnot, right? And they kind of just you go through heat therapy. So they put pads on you and like electrocution shock and whatever. So they just stimulate the muscles around that region of pain. And then over the course of days, they make you do physical activity for like an hour. And then after that hour, it's like 20 minutes of they pull on your muscles. They kind of like knead on them and massage areas, you know? Mm-hmm. And then they rub Bengay or whatever it is, Tiger Balm. And they kind of either strap you to a proper position to where your muscle's supposed to be, you know, they use kind of like those muscle pads, you know? Those
I get you.
Ones? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it. But the one I had that was pretty gnarly, I'm not gonna lie. The only time I probably thought I was gonna like scream was when they were pulling my shoulder blade. Ooh. So they take your arm, they kind of set up in a position to where your shoulder blade is vulnerable and grabbable. Think of like rock climbing, how there's a rock.
Yeah.
Now you can just grab on it.
Some space to latch on.
They grab on it, they stick their fingers below it, and they relax your arm so that the muscles relax, and they pull.
It is one of the worst feelings, dude.
Ooh.
Here's the misconception people have about physical therapy.
Yeah.
Physical therapy is supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be just as difficult as a training session, because you're rewiring movement patterns and you're trying to heal your body to get on the correct path. Mm-hmm. Like when I had my PT for when I almost tore, I was probably like a millimeter away from tearing my lower abdominal wall off of my pubic bone during soccer. Oh my God. And I remember the feeling of sitting down in my car after the game that I did that. It was horrendous. I couldn't even sit.
Yeah. You can't even use a pedal. You can't do anything. Crazy.
So when I went to PT, I did PT for like 4 or 5 months, dude. It took that long. But it was one of the most difficult things I've been through. And like even to the point where they had to relax my abdominal wall. So the PT would come in, dig under my rib cage and massage the deepest area under the rib cage. It was one of the most like painful but also just odd feelings.
Yeah, it's like
because nobody ever goes there.
You shouldn't grab, like it doesn't feel like you should grab there. I know what you mean. So it feels off, especially if it's someone else's hands too, you know? Yeah. You're like, whoa.
I enjoyed it though. I just PT's
something
fun.
In that kind of pain does feel good because it's relieving of some sort.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe you've been curious about this part of your body for so long that it now is being satisfied, but it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got to deal with some pain if you want to
Very
change.
nice. Yes, sir. I don't know.